need to upskill yourself, and going to look at where the market is driving towards. So the cloud space is here to stay. That is not going away anytime soon. So the basic skills that this platform is about is here to stay. So it's not going away anytime soon. But also things are turning towards AI. So if you can as well, going to upskill yourself in terms of AI, that would also help as well, because companies are actually, kind of streamlining processes and things like that, and how they solve problems for their clients. So this is a good training. Just keep upskilling yourself. Nothing is going to go away anytime soon, but then AI is here to stay. And then we also have to, keep upskilling ourselves in terms of AI. The market is not stable anywhere. No one has control over that. I still told Menon I did an interview recently, and it was a very good interview. I got good feedback, from the HR team. But I mean, at the end of the day, I wasn't selected because of, what was happening in the country. So it's not about you. It's not about your skill set. But when companies are declaring losses, then they have to come up with measures on how to remain relevant and how to going to give their client the best. So what I would just say is continue to upskill yourself, going to join trainings, learn as much as you can. And because there are also a lot of people in the labor market, we have a lot of skilled people there as well. So you just have to keep upskilling yourself, basically. So just look at where the market is turning towards. Cybersecurity is here to stay. AI is here to stay. Cloud is here to stay. These are like the three major parts, right? So you're in the right space, but then you just have to keep upskilling yourself as much as you can. Try and show up every day and do what you have to do. Play your part.
Quick question.
That would
When you
be
said, oh, I'm sorry.
okay.
Go ahead. No, when you said what's happening in the country, what did you mean by that?
Oh, so are you in the US?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay, so if you're in the US and you've been following up the news, you would understand that there are a lot of policies that have been rolled out in the last couple of months that has really shaken up a lot of companies. So, for example, I'm in consulting, and my company has been affected by some of these policies. Right, one, my company is a major player in the federal space. So when those fundings were cut off, we were seriously affected. Right. So there's a lot of, shake up, like,
Okay.
yes, there's a lot of, there's so much uncertainty that companies cannot, how before you could have like 5, 10 years vision plan. It's
Yeah.
not really like that again, right? So people are just taking it easy as it comes. The reason why I'm saying this is because of people that may be looking for jobs and they want to get deterred or feel bad that, oh, I've been searching for a job, is not coming, right? I'm just saying that you continue to upskill yourself despite what's happening. So despite the so much uncertainty, just keep upskilling yourself. There are roles out there, and that's the truth. There are roles out there, but at the same time, just put it behind your head that it may not just be about you, that you're not getting the jobs. It may just be what's happening in the country right now. But then you can't stop upskilling yourself. You have to keep learning. IT is broad. Just find your space, find your niche, find your strength. Like this class gives a very good foundation that you can actually use to thrive in any part of cloud, you find any part of IT you find yourself, right? So if you want to go the DevSecOps route, it helps you, as well in the. So just keep doing what you have to do, basically.
So I would like to add one more things. What changes in the country? So if you if you are connected with stock market, yesterday the Lululemon's company's stock like went down for I think 14-15% in a one day. Lululemon is a good company. Now if you their read their outlooks or their transcript about the earnings. The only thing their CEO mentioned that they are not seeing any clarity in future because the main reason is the tariff war. So it is not bad or a good time, we'll say, but every company they are trying to be, become a little bit more cautious. They
Mm-hmm.
don't want to invest until unless they have a clear idea or visibility about next couple of quarters. So it is not bad. It is not like there is no job opportunity, not at all like that. But every company they try to be a little bit more cautious about the upcoming days, and that's the reason even if they have a requirement, they are putting those things in little hold. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I hope that helps.
this is quite common while every administration change, they imply their own regulations, and that time every company, especially IT. Now, IT industry is connected with all industry. It connected with your retail, banking, your medical, and all industry. If any one industry hit it, got or have an idea that they are going to their business may hamper, IT industry is respond s- proportionally. So that is a little drawback of IT industry because if any industries goes up, IT industry also follow. Same like that Nvidia's or AI chip become a boost. All most of the IT company, especially data-driven companies, they got those same kind of flow of investment as well as the requirement. Okay, so guys, if you don't have any question, then I think it's time for Mr. Devashish to start.
Yeah, sure. Uh, I will make the recording on.
Hello, sorry. Good afternoon, Lagos to
Good afternoon.
Nigeria. I just a short question.
Mhm.
In the recordings that was sent for both sessions, cybersecurity and DevOps, we have day one, day two, and day four. I don't know, was day three the day we didn't hold class due to daylight saving?
Yeah. Day three there is no
Oh,
class
okay, thank you.
because daylight saving. We messed up a little with their time, so that's the reason we joined. But then we decided that okay, today we are going to skip the class.
So, Akshat, your question is you are not receiving the recordings?
So I mean, sure, the recordings have been posted on the group, but I was expecting that it would be serialized. Day one, day two, day three, day four.
Oh,
So I
okay.
was
Oh,
when
no.
I saw day four,
Yeah,
not day
yeah.
three, I was thinking, hey, mix up. Did I probably I didn't pay enough attention, but all of that. Thank you, clarified. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. And Akshat, are you okay with the recordings? Did you get? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I'm not sure whether my camera is going to work or not, but let me first share my screen. You will please let me know if you can see the screen.
So, Mr. Devashish, is it possible just in a brief 1 or 2 sentence what we have so far covered? If you give us a little idea, like this topic wise.
Yeah. I will. So what we did in the previous two sessions, I think this is the this is the fourth session, but in fact, we have covered two important topics. First, we have done, just let me know if you can, I'm making my camera on. Okay. So, and I will go to my screen. Can you see the screen as well with my face on? If you can
Yes.
respond. Okay, great. Yeah, great, great. So what we did in the first two, I mean, first three sessions, in which in between there was a miss because of the daylight saving. We could not take that particular session. What we did was, the first session was generally a very uh, detailed introduction to DevOps. Introduction. Just 1 minute. DevOps introduction. Okay, that was the first one. And then we had two, there was a gap. I will take it as three. These were for AWS Cloud. Okay. In fact, I wanted to complete AWS Cloud in that was one session meant for AWS Cloud, and the next session was supposed to be Terraform. But because of some time constraint, I had to, I could not complete this one. So I shifted over to the next session. I could complete uh, the AWS Cloud in quite details over, and I had a small demonstration as well. Okay, very fast demonstration, quick demonstration. And today, therefore, the fourth session will be my Terraform. Is that fine?
Perfect.
Any question?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me also take this opportunity to tell you about the roadmap. Okay, in the meantime. So what I can do is change over to this thing and say, oh, okay. And so as we have covered DevOps introduction, to the AWS Cloud, 3 Terraform, 4 will be Ansible, 5 will be Docker, okay, 6 will be 6 and 7. There are 2 sessions for Kubernetes. Because Kubernetes is a big thing. And then we would have the latest inclusion is Azure DevOps. But I'm sure the things that I have will not be able, I will not be able to cover that Azure DevOps in one session. So generally, we have a 8-week internship program for DevOps. But in this case, I will extend it to 9 with the similar topic of Azure DevOps. Because I think I have enough materials to cover it cannot be covered in one session. So we will do it over in 2 sessions. Is that fine? So we are at this stage. Today we will cover this part. So any questions if you have, let me know, because once I go inside this thing, I will not be able to come back here and get your questions. So somebody from this team, please, whenever there will be a question, please let me also find out. You just let me know what the question is, or you can directly speak out. This is a very flexible session sort of thing. Okay, so we start Terraform. And whenever we say Terraform, it is like we are replacing two things or three things. What is that? Whenever you say we are going to use, a company is going to use Terraform, that means the company is going to not use AWS Cloud Formation or Azure's Bicep or ARM, Azure Resource Manager, okay, or GCP's Google Cloud Dynamic Interface, the dynamic dashboard. These are all proprietary. These are all proprietary to the service provider or to the cloud provider. That means if I use a cloud formation of AWS, I will not be able to use it over Azure, or I will not be able to use it over GCP. If I use the dynamic interface of Google Cloud, I will not be able to use it on Azure or AWS. The same thing goes for Bicep. Okay, so if I don't have to take care of all these hurdles, that is the proprietary issue, that one will not work over the other. If I need to be platform independent, what I need to do is go for some tool which can help me give that independence. And that tool is Terraform. Now, the next question was, if somebody would ask, then what is the need of this CF, Bicep, or this dynamic interface of GCP? Why do we need to do this? These are nothing but you want to provision resources. Provision the resources over the cloud, over any cloud for that matter. Then we need to use Terraform. That means when you say provision, what do you mean by provision? Can anybody tell me? What do you mean by provision?
So provisioning means implementation of technology in terms of infrastructure to support business logic and all of that.
Exactly. Thank you. For a very simple example, let's say your company is a service company, okay, service delivery company. That means they are the software vendors or the solution providers of big clients. So let's say you are working with IBM, and IBM has to take care of the solution requirements of the client. IBM is a vendor providing custom solutions or some system integration of the entire system integration of, say, AT&T, who is the client. So IBM basically will be providing the entire infrastructure support, entire software solution support, entire operational support to AT&T client over a particular piece of software, or maybe the total system integration. for their telecom solutions. Okay. So what will IBM do? IBM has to deploy a development server, a testing server, okay, a pre-production server, and a production server with its allied networking infrastructure over the cloud. The cloud can be a mixed cloud. That means this could be on AWS, this could be on Google, this could be on this particular thing is going on Azure, and IBM is putting that into an IBM cloud for the production. This is an IBM cloud. It can be, or they can go for one single cloud environment, which is maybe AWS or GCP or Azure. Or it could be hybrid like this. Okay, so you are using one particular piece of a tool, or this is called a DevOps tool, where it will provision any sort of resource. When I say resources, it is not only the server, it can be anything. It can be a S3 bucket. It can be a load balancer called ELB, Elastic Load Balancer. It could be a network element called your security group. It can be a security group. It can be a VPC. It can be a subnet. It can be a router. Or it can be an IAM user. IAM user, we have already learned in our cloud session that it is the user with a certain level of policy. It is not the root user or admin. Okay, so anything you think of is a resource. And of course, there is the EC2 instance, which is most common, the EC2 servers or instances. The instance, is it EC2, ELB and onwards. Any question? So in that case, see, I need to be platform independent, whether I'm using whatever the cloud is, I have to deploy my resources over any cloud, and therefore I will go for Terraform. I will not go cloud specific templates or cloud specific services like a Cloud Formation for AWS or Bicep or a dynamic interface. So I have already told you about this thing, so I do not need to go through the entire wordings. You can read through. So configuration files. So what we will do, we will write IAAC. We will code the infrastructure. That is the beauty. You will, it is best thing that if you can do a coding, you can code an infrastructure. That means you can say what you want. What is the main question of any DevOps guy? What you want? What infrastructure do you want? So you write a simple configuration file, which are called manifest files. Or simple, better to say, Terraform configuration files, right? Config files. And or you can say .tf, Terraform files. So whatever be the name of a file, name.tf. Is that fine? So whenever Terraform will find a TF file, it will look for the configuration within it, and it will deploy that configuration over wherever you have intended. We will see a practical demonstration today as well. So what you are doing, you are writing infrastructure as a code. Just give me 1 minute. So it is infrastructure as a code. You are coding the infrastructure. That is the flexibility that is given through this tool. You are coding on the infrastructure. So the infrastructure is made flexible, and it is dynamic because you are able to code on it. So it makes it flexible. If you can create it, you can modify it, you can read the infrastructure, and you can also delete. So these are the primary 4 operations that you do, and that is called the CRUD. You know, CRUD operations: create, read, update, and delete. There are nothing, no more other than these operations. Whether you call about REST API calls of databases or backends, or you directly deal with the databases, database functions, or you deal with the IAC code of Terraform. Of that means this is the provisioning. This is provisioning. Okay, so you can follow this, all these things. You can create all these things. So configuration files describe to Terraform the components needed to run a single application or your entire data center. Terraform generates an execution plan. So we are going to do, because of this recording and this, generally in my sessions, in my job ready trainings, I never face a problem of my pen. But whenever I make my video on, there is some lag in the response. There is some latency, and therefore these things happen. Anyway, forgive me for that particular inconvenience. But what I'm trying to say is the steps in a Terraform operation is you validate your configuration files, whether syntactically they are fine. Then you plan, like you provide a blueprint. Before you build a building or a house, you always have to go for a plan. How do you want to build that? How? So what is that you are going to build? Is it a 3-story building or it's a 4-story building? What will be the foundation? Will there be a car parking below the in the basement? All these things have to be a plan. So similarly, because you are creating resources, so your plan is to get an idea of what you are doing, and you have to make that plan approved with Terraform. So you will verify that plan, and if the blueprint is fine according to what you wanted, what you desired, the desire is important. What you desired, then thereafter you apply. You deploy your resource according to your plan. And finally, if you are happy with your deployment, and sometimes you may need to destroy the resources that you have created. So these 4 are the steps you have to follow. This is not a mandatory step, but validate, plan, and apply are the steps that you will be frequently using to apply it. Destroy is optional. Whenever you need it, you will destroy. Destroy is like deleting your resources that you are deleting the resources. Is that fine? Can we move ahead? Is there any question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, I'm just reading through Terraform, looking at the what it manages between low-level components such as instances, storage and networking. And then I'm paying more attention to high-level components. So apart from DNS and service as that is SaaS, right? SaaS features, right? So what are other high-level components, that are more relevant to, to the field, so that if you can make mention those, so that, one will know precisely what are the high-level components that Terraform manages.
I can say you can manage with Terraform SaaS features like you have a mailing system. You deploy the entire mailing system. What are the servers that are needed for the mailing system, and how the server will be, that is the SNMP, the protocol that is implemented within that. So what is the network needed for a mailing server to be enabled to use the mailbox and to deliver the mails to the destination. All this setup can be used with these are the high level components of using the infrastructure provisioning. There can be some other examples as well, like the DNS entries for the, like you are going for GoDaddy or AWS 53, Route 53. So these are the services through which are the SaaS services. Okay. Now you can enable these services from outside. Even if you are not within the cloud, you can use Terraform to provision those services as services which are high level components on top of the low level components as well. A good question. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So the infrastructure, this is the infrastructure. We have already discussed that. We have to be very, very particular about the syntax. We have to know the syntax, but we don't have to go into the details of the discussion of that syntax, because these are all available to us through a very solid documentation of Terraform. Terraform is coming from HashiCorp, and HashiCorp is a very well-known name in this DevOps industry, in this industry. HashiCorp, who has given us Terraform and few other important softwares, out of which they have given also the HashiCorp configuration language. These are simple. This is a very simple declarative language. Which you just have to declare what you want. The rest of this internal working of the Terraform will be taken care by Terraform itself. So you just have to declare what you want, and that is through a configuration language called HCL. But basically it is very sensitive to the syntax, so there has to be a validation. As I told you, validation. As I told you about the 4 steps that you do: validation, plan, the execution plan, okay, and finally the apply. And then you can do this. These are the complex chain sets. Now, this will bring in the question of modules and how you can use the modules in the chain sets. So you can prepare a module for dealing with the various environments. So you just have to change your module to fit into that environment, whether the environment is dev or test or stage or your production. So the environment variables that you use in dev will definitely be different from test or to the stage and finally to the production. So with the help of the modules, you can use the module for the module things are the same. The chain sets are the same, but only it will adapt itself to the environment that it is getting deployed to automatically. So these are complex chain sets. But generally, this is a very high level. I mean, this is a very advanced concept. So we, in our generally in our sessions as well, we do not go for complex chain sets or the chain sets concept through the modules. So it supports multiple platforms, and currently there are more than 100 providers. Providers, what are the providers? Who are the providers? Okay, can you name a few? Just one or two. Whenever you say providers, providers is a very a common term in Terraform. So the interviewers and everything they will always refer to as provider. So the providers are AWS, Azure, to name a few. Google Cloud, IBM Cloud, Oracle Cloud, whatever. There are hundreds and there are a bit more than 100 providers currently. Simple configuration, that is the most important part. Simple configuration language and faster learning curve. So the learning curve is shorter learning curve. And in our job ready program, I complete Terraform within 4 to 5 sessions of 2 hours. Each session of 2 hours. So within 10 hours maximum, you can learn entire Terraform with all the hands-on, out of which 80% is hands-on. So you will know how to actually deploy the or provision the resources over any cloud. Okay. Right. And Terraform extensively works with plugins. So the help of plugins is very important. We will know because, and also the next stage is Ansible, because they operate in the operate phase. What are the tools in the operate phase of DevOps life cycle? What are the three very, very famous tools? One definitely is Terraform. What is the next one? Most famous and important?
AWS.
No, AWS does not come. AWS is actually not a part of. AWS is a cloud platform. It does not fall under DevOps. We cannot say strictly it is a DevOps tool. No, it is not a DevOps tool. It is a domain itself.
Well, we have
Like
Ansible.
DevOps is a domain. Yeah, sorry.
Ansible.
Ansible, yes. Ansible is purely a DevOps tool, like Terraform. And what else
Jenkins.
will be in the operate phase?
You have Docker, Jenkins, Nagios,
No,
What else?
I'm specifically talking about the operate phase.
Sorry?
Sorry,
Say that again.
can you tell me again?
What phase are you talking of?
In the operate phase, I am talking about the operate phase. So a very, very important tool is there. Somebody mentioned Docker. I will say Docker will be in the deploy phase.
Yeah.
When you build an image, of your application, then it is sort of a release and deploy phase. So it will be Docker will take its position over here. Now these are the concepts. Somebody told me something else as well. What was the other tool that you have mentioned?
I mentioned Docker. I mentioned Nagios is for monitoring, right?
Monitoring, yes.
Yes.
After operate comes the monitoring tool. Sorry, the monitoring. So under the monitoring is the Nagios. But I'm talking specifically of operate, where you will provision your infrastructure, you will configure the infrastructure. This is configuration. We will learn it the next session. This is provision.
Is Azure one of them too?
Azure,
Azure
I will say
is a provider.
Azure.
Service
If you're
provider.
talking about Azure as a cloud, then this is a cloud like AWS. At Azure DevOps, somebody told Jenkins.
Configuration management.
No, Jenkins, and somebody told, okay, there is another one called GitLab.
What of
these are
Puppet and Chef?
Puppet, Chef, they will fall under the Ansible configuration management.
Configuration management.
So they will fall under operate. But Ansible is the most popular in that category. Yes. So this one is a CI/CD pipeline integrator. So every other tool will all be integrated and deployed and delivered through the pipeline. So the pipeline could be Azure DevOps or Jenkins or GitLab. But that will not fall under any phase, because that is an integrator of all the phases. If you say GitHub or Git, which phase will it be there? It is in the code phase.
Git is in the code phase where
yes, because there
where you're gathering where you're developing and gathering the materials, like
yes,
you now do
the source codes.
Yeah, the source code.
Like your Java programs or your Python programs, the PHP or whatever.
Yeah,
you are doing
when
it.
you're not doing
that's very good.
You're doing the is it what is it called? Is it fork and push and pull?
Yeah,
right. The push and pull.
Push and pull, forking, cloning, or whatever you do. But that is all will be coming under. We cannot say that Git will be operating in the deploy phase. No, Git has already done its work in the very beginning, coding phase, in the code phase. Okay, so similarly is an operate phase. We are missing one very important tool of DevOps,
Cloud formation.
No, is it
Cloud
Selenium?
Formation? No.
Selenium.
Selenium is a testing. So there will be a testing phase. So that will be there in the testing phase. You say you are building and testing. So that will be under the testing phase. So Selenium. That is also a DevOps tool. But I'm again coming back to the operate. You have said Terraform. Yes, of course. You have said Ansible. Whatever the assets you have provisioned over the resources Kubernetes. That you have provisioned over. Yes, thank you, brother. Kubernetes. So Terraform has provisioned a number of nodes, number of servers, and Terraform will provision it over the CI/CD pipeline onto an orchestration tool called Kubernetes. So we will have a cluster of this is a very interesting project that we do in our job ready training, where you will see how automation is actually done in practical sense, how operation is done. Okay, so automation is done. There you will see Terraform with its scripts will provision over onto a Kubernetes cluster, or you can say on the EKS. EKS, you know, what is that? Elastic Kubernetes Service provided by AWS. These are the things that we need to, these are the latest technology, or on the AKS, that is on Azure. These are SaaS services. So what is doing? Terraform is also doing a SaaS. It is helping over in provisioning on a component level, like on the EKS. So EKS is a SaaS over the AWS, and it is deploying it over the Kubernetes, which is an elastic Kubernetes service. So basically, I'm provisioning a Kubernetes cluster over EKS, over the AWS Cloud. Okay, and on that cluster, you are deploying with the help of Docker and everything. Your, you are releasing all the artifacts that were developed and published in this deploy stage. You are releasing it over onto the Kubernetes cluster that has been provisioned by Terraform. So you can see they are all interlinked. Whenever Terraform will provision the resources over either Kubernetes cluster or maybe on the cloud itself single-handedly, Ansible can go and then configure on that particular provisioned resource. I have created a Terraform script, and that I will deploy it onto my cloud, and I will create an EC2 server, a virtual server. And on that, it is going to create the Ansible is going to go and configure this server for so many configuration issues that we will learn in the next week. Any other question?
So when you talk about the operate, primarily you talking about the provisioning phase, pretty much.
Which one? Can you repeat your question, please?
So I'm saying, so when you say the operate phase, where you use tools like Terraform, Ansible, and Kubernetes, you're talking about the phase where you setting up your provisioning.
Yes, I'm setting up the provisioning. Yes. See, unless and until where will I deploy the build artifacts? The developer has put in some code. I have built the code into some artifacts like the jar file of Java. Okay. Or yeah. So these are the artifacts, not only one jar file, there can be lots of other things. So that I will put it into a artifactory. That is, I will publish it into an artifactory, and then in my operate phase, when there is a release, I will release them, or basically to say deploy them where? On some servers like the development server, or development to test the code, the build code for its all practical purposes, whether they are running fine on the dev server. Then if it is validated, then it will go to the QA environment for system integration testing. It is done. Then it will go to pre-production server or staging.
Staging, yeah.
You will do a UAT. not you, the client will be doing user acceptance testing. So you have to deploy those artifacts, those build items, one after the other with some approval gates, exit gates. Okay. Finally, you reach over there. Again, there will be an approval stage. And then finally, you deploy it onto the production. All these things will be happening over some pipelines, over some automated, either the build pipeline and the release pipeline. All through the pipeline, everything is taken care, integrated and delivered and deployed. It is like a train, a train moving from the coding phase end to end. So starting from the coding phase, going into the production phase. So you say you initiation to implementation. Whatever it takes, implementation. Sorry, the wrong spelling, whatever it is. And you do it through everything automated. There is a minimum of human intervention. Now see why you need to learn all these things, because finally, when you learn cybersecurity or DevSecOps, whatever the assets that you have delivered or deployed over a pipeline, automated pipeline, you have to check, you have to see that all those assets or resources, your code is one of part of the resource, is 100% foolproof. If not 100%, at least 99% foolproof. So that's why you say DevSecOps. You learn DevSecOps. Before that, you need to learn DevOps, because this DevOps gives you the capability to create the resources, provision the resources, configure the resources, deploy the resources, orchestrate the resources. Then comes this stage where you have to secure the resources. Is that correct? So a combination of these two becomes a very lethal weapon or a lethal knowledge asset for you. You have to secure the resources that you have created, provisioned, deployed, implemented, or built. So when we do a very practical example, okay, when a capstone project like that, whenever your eyes will be opened to what a technology can be, how automatically we can do things, that will give you that becomes your eye opener. And that we do in our in the full course, where you do a capstone project to summarize, to assimilate all the knowledge, all the knowledge of the tools that you have learned so far into an integrated pipeline, automated at every stage of deployment. And Terraform plays a vital role in that automation journey. So I will move ahead. What is the time? 8:30. So I can use another 1 hour. Mr. Menon, are you there? So Terraform provisions, configurations, we have discussed about this and the providers. So you see, you make an upstream API call provider plugin. Okay, so your plugin for Amazon Web Services, that is AWS, will be so Terraform will call this upstream API. And this API will work with this plugin of the cloud of this cloud. So if I have the provider plugin of Amazon, I will be talking to Amazon through Terraform. Similarly with Azure, similarly with Google Cloud, any other cloud. So you will just implement or apply the Terraform code over onto this. That's all. It is all about the plugins. Now, as I told you, modules are these are the advanced level where you will create a module in Terraform configuration that can be called that are reusable, and that can be you can fit in to your development environment or QA environment or production environment or your pre-production environment, whatever environment. So it is like, you know, the Jinja template. It is like a template which your dynamic variables or the modules will fit in to the environment. So a dev environment variable will not work on a test environment because the environment is different. So how do you make it dynamic is what modules do. Okay. So most modules manage a few closely related resources from a single provider. And then there is the Terraform registry. Like you have the GitHub registry. What does a GitHub registry do? Can anybody tell me? Help me. Like you have, so the pen is really not working that much. It has become hypersensitive. What I was talking about is the GitHub. What does GitHub store? Code and the source code. Whatever code, whatever related to the code, it can store images as well, but not Docker images. For so Docker Hub can store what? Your application in form of images. So images. So we say it is the Docker registry, hub or registry. Hub or registry. So Git registry. Similarly, you have the Terraform registry. Can anybody tell me what will Terraform registry store?
I want to say the registry, basically it stores events, activities. It could be a configuration failure or initial process, any changes that happens in Terraform, right? So it's going to capturing those events for backtracking. Like if you want to trace what exactly happened during the process, right? So in the register, that is where you can kill a process. You can look at that to, you know, also follow up to, like, you know, a stopped process, and then you can also, you know, restart a process from that particular point. So like any change that happened, so you eventually you're going to trace it from that particular, from the registry. So registry captures events or snapshots at various times.
Okay, that is you are almost near to what you were. It is the backend state. It stores the backend state of whatever the resources or infrastructure that you have provisioned or you have modified or you have destroyed, whatever it is. So this is a backend state of all the Terraform configuration, like you have written the configuration files. So you need the plugins. Where will the plugins? Let's say you have AWS plugins. You have to initialize your Terraform registry because you are now going to work with the AWS Cloud. Let's say this is AWS. So you need plugins. Terraform is sitting here. You have installed Terraform on your maybe on your server, but you are provisioning resources over AWS Cloud. So Terraform has to have something called a backend registry, whether the registry can be local, it can be on the server where you have installed Terraform, or it can be over the internet, somewhere out of reach of any person. That is fine. So it can be on the HTTP server, or it can be local, very local, whatever it is. So you are storing the state of the configuration that you have done or resources that you are provisioning. That will all store in the backend, and that backend is called the registry, where all the plugins, like you are going to give commands. Okay, these commands will be interacting with the plugins, and plugins will do an API call to where? API call to take that instruction to AWS and to do whatever. That is, some resources will be created through the API call of those plugins made through the Terraform configuration file. So all the plugins are going to be stored. There is a storage area, Terraform registry, or the state files, all the state. So that state file will be of generally with the TF state. So your TF state, all the backend states that you are creating will be stored, whatever the name. Basically, the default name is Terraform TF state.
Sorry, can I ask you a question, sir?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to follow. Are we speaking about the Terraform backends, or are we speaking about the Terraform registry? Because in the registry, if I remember correctly, is where we're storing providers and the modules, and then the backends state files. That's where the Terraform backends are. Or are we speaking about the same thing? I'm just trying to follow.
Yeah, there is one command, that is initialization command. Whenever you do the initialization, you are initializing the environment for Terraform. Okay, that is, you are creating a backend or the registry. So Terraform registry is created without a .terraform. This is a hidden folder. Without this .terraform, you have not initialized your environment. So you will see that there are various folders under this thing, and finally it will lead to all the plugins.
Oh, we're considering the whole configuration.
The whole configuration. Yes, you are setting up otherwise Terraform will not work. Even if you have installed Terraform, Terraform can only work when you have initialized the Terraform. Like in Git, you cannot work with Git unless you have initialized your Git environment, Git init. Remember the command Git init? It will create a .git folder.
I wanted to ask you my understanding about DevOps. So I look at it from the DevOps development life cycle, right? From gathering of materials like resources during code, which involves the developer, and then you're picking up the codes for testing. Like, okay, it goes iteration process. Can you take us through that iteration process? Because this is continuous CI/CD pipeline, right? Which is a continuous integration and continuous deployment, right?
And delivery,
and delivery. So during the developing stage, which involves the JIT at the JIT the code stage, right? Which
Yes,
involves that
you start
continuous
at this level. Yes.
coding, right?
Yeah,
You know,
continuous
because it
coding.
goes in a it goes in a circle. So it's non-stop, and the essence is to reduce the amount of time it takes the developers to be able to come up with a product, like, you know, and like a resource that they are working on. So as the developer, the code is being developed, is being tested, so it goes through that cycle of iteration. So I don't know if you would like to take us through that.
Before let me interrupt. Before it goes to the testing, I have other step. That is the build. If the code
Yeah,
is
that's
not
what I'm
built,
saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That phase of the code, that is the build, right? You gather
build.
materials, the build
Yes,
phase,
correct.
and
And you
then
publish it.
staging, right? So
Yeah, you stage it.
you
Yes,
you do
you
when
publish
you
it.
build, you stage, and then before you test another, before it now goes to another phase of, you know, testing
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
deployment and all that. So I don't know if you would want to take us through that phase of you know, life cycle, you know, so
Uh,
that we can
yes.
understand clearly that
Yeah, very
iteration
good question
process.
at this stage. But let me say that I have given a introduction to DevOps in the very first day. But don't worry, we are again going to repeat, because DevOps is the cycle will continue. It is like a iterative thing. It is always going to iterate between all the phases. So just give us some time. We will do the same thing, but now in a very practical way when we learn Azure DevOps. It will give you an eye opener where what we were talking theoretically, now you will see practically that, yeah, I understand. Okay, the development has come. That there was some code change into some branch of my GitHub repository, and that triggered a pipeline, and that pipeline takes the uh, code or extracts the code into a build server. Okay, where there is either Maven or NuGet or NPM or PIP, whatever, according to the application. Okay, whether it's a Python application, then you will use the PIP. If it is a .NET application, you will use NuGet. Okay, so that way, if it is a Java application, you will use Maven. So there is a build server. So the pipeline will take that trigger. It will be triggered to take those code, put it to the build server. Build server build it and put it into a particular or publish it. Better to say publish it to a particular, that is called a artifactory. All the build artifacts are put it into a registry. That is a storage. It is called, better to say, artifactory. Like you say GitHub repository, Docker Hub repository. So similarly, you say artifact repository is artifactory, where when you go to release it to the dev environment or the test environment or to the pre-production environment, it will pick up from that artifactory and put it into dev. It is called deployment. When you put it into the dev, then there is your deployment will happen, or a sort of another sort of a build will happen, which will be an image. You will compile that or build with a Docker technology, will put it as an image. The entire application will be tested and put it into an image, and that image you can store it into the Docker Hub. And that is also sort of a place where you have the image, and then you can extract the image. Finally, when everything has gone fine, you will extract that image, because that image has been tested, provisioned onto a dev server or test server or pre-production server, configured, and maybe your Terraform has deployed it into a Kubernetes cluster, because there are lots of microservices. It is not a single Java application, not a single layer. It is a multi-layered, or rather you can say loosely coupled microservices. So it needs to be orchestrated, and you put them into a Kubernetes orchestration tool, because ordinary platform will not be, it will be very, very difficult. to work on it. So better to have a platform where all the hundreds of microservices can work together, manage together. And that is why we learned Kubernetes. So everything now again tested uh, uh, mm, in an environment. Performance testing will happen, integration testing will happen. So many tests will happen, stress testing will happen, load testing will happen. Okay, security testing will happen. When everything passes, code quality testing will happen, and then you finally deploy it, or you say deliver it to the production box as a blue-green deployment. These are very well demonstrated when we actually do a project. Just learning through the theory will not help. We have to do a lots of hands-on. We have to do a lots of, at least do a capstone project, which encompasses every aspects of what we are saying today. Let me explain that more clearly when we come to, Azure DevOps. As I told you, the 8th and the 9th session maybe will be your Azure DevOps. Clear? Any other question? It is very simply, I understand that it is not very simple as I say, but it will be simple once we actually go through it. So Terraform registry is a place where we store our backend states, we store our plugins, we store our modules, because these are reusable things. So provider is your AWS plugins or Azure plugins or Google Cloud plugins, all the plugins. Okay. You already know why you need an infrastructure provisioning. Like in CI/CD pipelines, we need to create various tests. See, whenever we are talking about infrastructure, somehow or the other, the CI/CD pipeline come into, because without a CI pipeline, you will not be able to integrate all the various tools with their specialized functions. Okay. So CI/CD functions, we need to create various tests, pre-production, production, development environments according to organizational QA policy, quality assurance. To create test environments, we might also need to create virtual infrastructure on the cloud. To automate this infrastructure creation updation, we need some kind of a tool, and these tools are called infra provisioning tools. You understand that. Depending on the infrastructure used in the organization, we will have different tools which can help in automating infrastructure creation. So you will interact with Terraform. You will interact with the Terraform to create your Terraform configuration files. The configuration files will replace the cloud formation or ARM templates or biceps of Azure or VMware SDK, or maybe the dynamic interface of Google Cloud. Just you say that it becomes Terraform makes it cloud agnostic. What is cloud agnostic? That is independence. You do not depend on which cloud you are working on. So it may be Amazon, it may be Azure, it may be VMware. Okay, you are using only one Terraform tool, and we can work with multiple cloud providers or a single cloud provider according to your plugins or instructions. So the workflow is very simple. You as a DevOps guy, you will create the Terraform configuration file, and then you will deploy it through the Terraform engine to wherever you want, whether you want it on Azure or AWS or VMware or hypervisor, okay, or on the Google Cloud, okay. Terraform is cloud agnostic because it can deploy to any cloud or virtual infra provider. Terraform integrates with clouds via providers, so you will have to have the provider plugins with you. You have the Azure provider, you have the AWS provider. This provider is nothing but the plugins, provider plugins. So you will always go for which one? Whether you will go for the procedural imperative or you will go for declarative, which is what? As a DevOps engineer, you are always concerned with the declarative part, not on the imperative or the procedural part. And that is it is a very common factor. So as if using Terraform, we would use a declarative approach to specify what our infrastructure needs are. This is famously known as infrastructure as a code. So as a fresher, as a developer, you will always be concerned with how to do the things. But as an experienced professional like you, having 3 to 4 years or 7 years of experience in IT as a DevOps guy, you will only be concerned with what has to be done. That is the only motto. So if you are very like always asking about how, then that means you are thinking procedural. If you are not asking how, but what, then you are thinking declarative. And once you combine the procedural and declarative, you have gone for automation through the pipeline. Terraform state, we have already said, so you will desire a state. What are the states? There are 3 states. One is what you desire. So it is called desired state. What is known is the known state. What is current? Now, can you tell me what is the difference between the 3 states? Just a guesswork.
Desired states is pretty much how you want it to work, like what you desire. Like for example, if you wanted to have maybe 2 replicas, that's the desired state.
Yes, exactly. Or maybe you want 2 EC2 instances created with 1 configuration file. Yes, that is what you desired. Okay, what about known state? So anybody? And then the most important thing is, what is the difference between known state and the current state? Desired, you can know it is obviously that you want to create a fresh or you want to provision.
Non-state could be regarded as the baseline. I may have not used the right word, but I'm trying to I
understand baseline.
Like your existing state. Where you are
almost there.
Yeah,
almost there.
Where you are before you now decided to before you decided to get to a desired state. But then there's a baseline.
Okay.
And then even though you have a baseline, right?
Now,
but then again, there's a current state. Your current state does not mean your baseline.
Think just what you said, just reverse it. You will get your answer. Current state is the state which is available on the AWS right now. That is
where you are right now, pretty much.
where you are right now. So this is a virgin state. That means you have not touched it either from the console, or uh, from your Terraform configuration file. I say config. You have not touched it. That means if there is one EC2 server that was not created because of your configuration file, then that is the current state. Now the known state only comes when you know the backend state that you will create. The backend state is created in the Terraform registry, and that is when you have applied your desired state. Okay, so a backend state with the known will be created. That means you have desired two EC2 instances, you have created two instances that is known to Terraform in the form of backend state. So at that point of time, the desired state, known state, and the current state are all equal when you have applied. Okay, the backend state knows that there are two EC2 instances created by Terraform. You have created from outside into the cloud. And also the current state will have two EC2 instances created by Terraform from outside.
So
Okay.
are you saying the known is equal to the desired state? Is the
Known
same?
is always, yes, known is equal to the desired state. Yes.
So
Now,
in an instance where, let's say, your desired state is EC2 instances, right? Current
in
state,
the desired state, yeah.
current state, one of your EC2 instances has gone down. That's your current state. In that case, where your
I'm coming to that current state. But right now, when you have applied two EC2 instances, you have created two EC2 instances that is known to Terraform within the backend state. And also it becomes the current state at that point of time, at that instant, at that point of time, at that current point of time. Okay. Let's say that is at that point, at that instant, these three are all the same. Now, some user who has access to the cloud has gone through the console and dropped out of the two EC2 instances, have dropped one. So now you say, how many instances are there in the cloud now? There is one, right? Somebody can go inside with the AWS console and have dropped one or deleted one instance out of the two. This is a manual activity. Can you say this equal to this? That is fine. This is not equal to this. Is that fine? So backend state still understands that you have two instances, and the desired state definitely will always consult the backend state, and it is the two instances that you have created. But here currently you have, out of the two instances, one has been dropped. So this is one only. Actual. The current is the actual. Actually, you are having one, but virtually Terraform knows that there are two EC2 instances that you have created. Okay. So you apply the same configuration file again. So again, this known state, will it go and create? Will it go and create the two instances? It will try to refresh because it finds.
Yeah, because it has to reconcile the current versus the desired configuration that you started with. So I'm thinking that based on the current state, it will then give out that error that there's an issue because it cannot reconcile what is desired versus the current state.
Yeah, that's true. But generally think that there was no change. Nobody has changed anything over this. So this will be equal to, right? So when you have again applied with the same configuration, will there be any change? It will only be a refresh. You are not going to create because you are already there with your desired state. If all the three are equal, then there is no change. There is no delta. Whenever there is a difference, then there will be a change. Understood what I'm trying to say? So this has
I have a sorry for cutting you short. I wanted to ask you in an event where the current state is short of one instance. So what is the implication?
Not an implication. I'm using a case study where I'm trying to make you understand that one instance has been dropped.
Yes, so at the point when one instance is dropped, does it have any implication? Let me rephrase my question that way. Does it have any implication?
No implication.
And then
so
at this point,
who can do that?
Okay,
so let's say admin has done this thing.
Yeah, so at this point, will the desired state and would there be any automation, like automate? Is it automated?
No, you are talking about the Kubernetes. I will not go to Kubernetes right now.
I'm not saying you should go to Kubernetes. So, but what I'm trying to say at this point, to replace it, right, to have the current state be equal to what we have at the back end, which is equal to desired state and known state. Is there going to be an automation process without a manual application to meet up with the current state?
If you again happen to apply it, I'm just talking about this situation. Forget about the automation right now, because automation.
Yeah. Can I say the refresh, right? The refresh process. How will it happen?
Think of this: when there will be two instances, will there be any change? I mean, whether when you apply it again, the same configuration file, you apply it again, will there be any changes? Will there be any changes?
If you apply the same files again, I don't think there'll be any changes.
I think it would change back to the desired state.
No. If the desired state says that you wanted to create two EC2 instances with all the parameters, of course. Yeah. Okay. It finds that the known state is already having, the backend state is already having the same configuration of these two instances. So it will not create, because there is no delta. Okay, so it will, and also there are two instances, so therefore there are no issues.
Oh, I thought you said admin has dropped one instance.
No, I'm saying when there are two instances, ideal case. Now admin has stepped in and dropped one instance for whatever reasons. Now this, I apply this file again. What will happen? Normally, if you had applied this, it will be only refresh when there were two instances here, two instances in the backend state, and two instances in the desired state. So it will be only refresh. But now somebody has dropped it. What will happen? Tell me.
It'll go create another one.
It will have you refresh. So because it's the same, there was no change, right? So you do refresh, and then you still have your current state come up with two instances. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking.
Current state is now one instance less.
The known state will have issues because now the desired is not equating to the current.
So yes. Yeah. So whenever you are going to apply, you will consult the backend state, which is nothing but the known state. And the known state will query the current state. That is what actually is happening over here. Now there is a delta. The known state says that I had to provision 2 instances, and here, but I find instead of 2, there is 1. Therefore, whichever is missing, I will be. So 1 will be refreshed. 1 will be refreshed and 1 will be created.
So would it be safe to say your known state then becomes, so based on your desired state, whatever Terraform creates becomes your known state, what it knows, okay, I have made. So your desired state is what you want it to be, your known state is what it has created, and your current state is where it is now.
Generally, this is the ideal situation. That is, I'm talking about to just make you understand what is. Otherwise, there is no difference between known and current, because no one is going to be disturbing physically, deleting or doing some mischief over the cloud, because that is not permitted. Ideally, this is always the known state and the current state are the same. So you apply 100 times, doesn't matter. It will always be refreshed, because 2 versus 2 versus 2. I'm saying to let you know the difference between known and the current. You have somehow dropped 1. Then only if you apply the next time, it will be 1 refreshed, 1 created. But again, you apply the second time. What will happen?
2 refresh.
2 refresh. Very good. 2 refreshes. Because there is no further. I mean, this is it again back to 2 instances, and nobody has dropped anything. That is the one very, very subtle difference. But Terraform ensures that before you apply, the known state will check with the current state. That is, this current state is having, so there is an API call through the plugin to the cloud, AWS, and AWS will give it back to the API saying that, yeah, I already have the 2 instances that you are trying to provision. So there is no difference, there is no delta. But if there is 1 and not 2, then there is a delta, and then this known state will, the desired state and known state is not equal. Okay. And therefore it will do 1 refresh and 1 create. So basically at that point of time, the known state becomes the current state, or the current state becomes the known state.
I wanted to ask, in an event where you have one of the instances dropped from current state, and then there's a delta between non-state and current state.
Yeah.
So when you want to refresh, okay, where you refresh from non-state and you recreate from non-state, or you recreate from, do you recreate from desired state or from non-state to be able to?
Desired state is your starting point, the configuration that you wanted to desire, you desire.
Yes.
You will always consult the known state, because there is a term, very important term. I'm really sorry for this hodgepodge. There is a term called idempotency in DevOps. That means if you are, if your state is already available, even if you have desired, if your desired is already available, you do not go to repeat the creation. That is called idempotency. Why should you repeat it? If it is already there, you just have to refresh. You do not have to waste your, because every time you create a resource, there is a cost. But if the resource is already there, you try to apply 100 times. it will not incur any cost, because it will very cleverly just do a refresh, because you already have that resource. So why do you have to repeat the action every time, and which can involve a cost? So better, I will not do it because it is already available, it is already known. Only in case the desired state and known state are different, okay, then only you will go for a creation. Right? These are actually, it is very difficult to make you understand unless we do some examples, and that is out of scope. But what I thought, I would go for a quick demonstration of this, what we are speaking about. But I don't know whether there is a time. If not today, then we can quickly do a demo on what we have talked about this today on the next weekend with half an hour. It will only take half an hour. I will quickly demonstrate what I'm saying. I will explain you the refresh and all the stuff. Okay, you will come to know very, very nicely about that part. This backend state is one of the important concepts of Terraform.
Can I also ask just a small question?
Yeah.
When it comes to the known states, okay, we have the desired, the known states, and then the current. I'm just using that example that you just pointed out there. Does it mean that if the admin deletes the EC2, then for some reason, let's say they then reinstate another EC2, are we going to lose the data that was there before, or the known state simply just stores the modules and those necessary metadatas, or it stores everything?
No, it cannot restore, because it will provision. The data is a different proposition altogether, whatever configuration you have done on the data. If you have dropped a server, even though a new server, so all these things will be gone.
So meaning that there's always the need for making a backup somewhere.
So that part we will cover in the Kubernetes.
Okay.
Because Terraform is not meant for that particular purpose. Okay, Terraform is simply provisioning. It doesn't know whether there was a data in the previous state. It is a stateless type of an activity. It does not care about the history. Okay. It only cares about the history of the provisioning state, whether it is known or it is unknown. So if there is a difference between the desired state and the known state, it will provision. If there is no difference between the known state and the desired state, it will not provision. It will only refresh.
Yeah,
but it cannot. It is not that intelligent to understand what was the history, whether I can restore the backup of it. No, it cannot do. That is the restriction. That is why a person joining today will not be allowed to use the cloud console. Because cloud console, if you are given a permission or provision, you are given a privilege to work directly on the console of any cloud, whether it's Google Cloud or Azure Cloud, or if you have that account where you have been given the privilege to deal with the resources, create, delete, whatever, then you can do a lot of havoc. So Terraform is not part of cloud. Terraform is a third-party tool which helps to provision from outside, not within the domain of the cloud.
Yeah,
okay.
I wanted to ask, sorry, to drop a server, at what could be the reason why an admin would drop a server? Let's say.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Why an admin will do? It is basically you can also drop a server if you are allowed. So you will not go to take hold of the console because you do not have the privilege maybe at that stage. So you will write a small Terraform script to drop a resource that you have created, consulting the known state, the backend state. You can do it yourself. That is called Terraform destroy. Okay, but why? The question is why you need to destroy any resource that you have created. Yes, you can say that is a good question. You need to destroy let's say you are in the development platform, you have deployed or provisioned some resources and deployed it over a Kubernetes cluster. Now you know that during the time of the testing, the unit testing or JUnit testing, whatever testing you do on the development server, because you have to test the build, okay, before it can be passed to the testing for the further testing, system integration testing. So at that point of time, you have tested every functions is working fine. You are very happy with that unit testing. Will you keep that on the development server? Will you keep that Kubernetes architecture or the nodes that were provisioned or the servers which were provisioned over the cluster? What do you think? You
Say that
can.
again.
I mean, say you have tested, everything was fine, 100% fine. Now you are in a stage where you can put those deploy into another server called test server, because you now need the testing team to test with whatever tools they have. They have a matrix of test metrics. They will test case. They have the test cases and they will match with some automated tool whether the test case pass. So they will keep on ticking, pass. For that, you need to deploy it. What about the environment that you have created or provisioned over development server? Will you still keep it?
If they test, if the build passes the test, right, you deploy. So will I call it the development environment or the staging the development environment? Yes. So I don't think it's necessary for you to keep it because you have already built and your product and it has passed.
Yes.
And then you have tested and passed and then you deployed.
Yes.
So because you also have to have a clean environment so that you don't mess up with,
because there is another batch of development
processes that are coming up.
Yes, very good. And one more reason why the development manager will pitch in at that moment saying that please clean up the environment. I have another project to be tested onto the development server. And another reason is Kubernetes deployment is not free.
Is not free.
So, not free. So that means the cluster that you have built, if you are going to keep it for days and days running, that means AWS will pitch in and with a big fat bill. Are you getting me?
Sure.
So to avoid that unnecessary billing, you are not using that cluster. You are not testing anything further. So why to keep it? Destroy it. That is one of the use cases why you need to destroy it sometimes. Yes, you have put it into the production after all the test and everything. Yeah, production you will never destroy. You will never deploy the destroy part of the code of your Terraform code. The configuration into production. You never deploy that. You have to modify. You take out the destroy part. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it will not pass. Somebody, you're definitely the testing team will see that the code has a destroy section. So make a cross. It will not pass. It is not secure. Why will you destroy any resource on production that you have provisioned? No. That is only applicable for your development stage, for your QA stage, or your pre-production stage, not on production. I hope you understand this.
Yes, it's clear. I mean, once it gets to production stage, of course, is a finished product. At that point, you can't destroy. If you destroy, of course, it's going to affect the end users and the customers and all
If
that.
you are destroying, yeah, because you are destroying all the Kubernetes
Oh,
architecture and the
exactly,
microservices that you have deployed. Yeah. So
exactly. So
the end users will not be able to use the
you
application
use that application anymore. Of course, it will go
anymore.
off the internet and stuff like that.
Yes.
Um, yeah. Okay, I think it's pretty clear with me.
Okay. Okay. I think we have also, with that assurance that something is more or less clear, we do not have enough time for our hands-on today. So what we will do, we will take that opportunity of the next weekend, and that will also make you available if you are interested, that we will have a live demonstration of what we do, actually what we have spoken. Can we see that? Yes, we can see that. So we will do it, maybe half an hour maximum. We will take it the next day, but actually that session will be for Ansible. Doesn't matter. There is no hard and fast that we have to complete this and then we can go there. It is not like that. So I will end our discussion. I don't know how many people are there. Maybe even if there is one or two people. Oh, there is a lot of people. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I will make my recording off, but we can discuss. We can keep on discussing.
Okay. I wanted to ask, how many projects are available for this intern, and how long is this intern?
Yeah, what is that? So can you repeat that question, please?
How many projects are available for this intern, and how long is the project? Is the intern?
Internship.
Yes.
Just give me 1 minute. Are you being able to hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, are you being able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Actually, I have taken off my headphone. It is just paining a bit. It has become warm. It is hot in India. Anyway, so can you repeat that question, please?
I said, how many projects are available for this internship, and how long is it?
There is no such project. That is out of scope. I cannot create a project, and we cannot deliver a project in this scope of 8 or 9 sessions, you know.
Okay.
Because I will tell you, in our long term, I mean, that is of 8 weeks, 2 hours per day, for 5 days in a week, and then there are 8 weeks. So it is this full-fledged job ready program. There we have uh, 4 sessions of 2 hours each, that is 8 hours for our capstone project. That is a scope where I can elaborate and demonstrate and create a project, a capstone project from the scratch. And you will
Okay.
see how it works. But here, because these are in a small, short sessions of 2 hours and not even 2 hours every day, I cannot get 2 hours. But maybe it is, and so many topics to be covered, which I am covering in 8 weeks, I cannot cover in 8 sessions.
Okay. All right, it's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. So we're meeting again next Saturday?
Yeah, we will start. But unfortunately, I don't know whether our students have been appropriately informed, or because there are lots of other guys who wanted to join DevOps, but because our timing today, particularly because there was no cybersecurity session, so
Okay,
it was the
what
time was
about the
spent.
cybersecurity section? I wasn't there actually, so you already had a section on that?
Yeah, we had already 4 sessions of cybersecurity.
Oh,
Today it
four
was supposed to
sections?
be four sessions, 4 Saturday weekends already
Oh,
have been
really?
done. So it was supposed to be fifth one today, but today Mr. Karthik
Okay.
is, I think, having some medical emergency in his family, so could not join.
Sorry, is it possible I get the videos of those cybersecurity classes?
So are you not in the group, our WhatsApp group?
I'm in the WhatsApp group, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I think I missed out. I wasn't really paying attention. I was just busy with one or
Oh,
two things.
okay,
So
okay,
if you
okay.
can share that on my email, that'll be fine. Is that okay?
Or will it be fine if I again share it, not individually, but I can share the link of our YouTube where you can get all uh, the playlist
Okay,
for
sure. If you can share the playlist, even if in the group, that'll be fine. If you can reshare it, I'm there. I mean,
yeah,
um,
okay,
I can just pull it up from there. That would make sense.
okay,
All right.
fine.
Thank you.
I'll do that. Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
All right.
So this one that is DevOps, this today's one, it will take 1 or 1.5 days. After that, and this will be available in the YouTube as well.
Okay.
It takes a bit of processing that we do in the backend. So Mr. Menon, if you are there, we can call it a day,
Sir,
or shall we wait?
I have one question.
Yeah.
I joined today this internship class.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so
You
I
joined for the
continue.
cybersecurity, right?
No, sir. I first
Oh,
time joined.
okay. So
So
generally
I
this
get
time is for the cybersecurity session, but today because our sir was not there, so I had to.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
sir,
Tell me, Samir.
next session. So I get internship certificate or not?
Certificate. I think that part is something which our
So,
Mr. Menon can address.
so yeah. So for the certificate, you need to register the our website, okay, for the free course,
Yes.
and then you need to go through all of those course materials and attend all the sessions at least 60%. And there is a small exam. It's not the exam is like a where you can understand where you are standing, and once that is done, then only you will the certificate will automatically generated on your profile.
Okay.
But at least
So
60 to 60% you need to join the live session.
sir, I register on website.
Hmm.
Did you already register on the website?
Yeah, you mentioned.
So the next step is you keep on uh, joining the live session, okay? Because you have
Okay.
already missed 3 sessions for DevOps and 4 sessions for cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity.
Yeah, so you keep on joining. Don't worry about the certificate. After the 8 or 9 sessions of cybersecurity and 8 or 9 sessions, I mean the 6 or 8 sessions of cybersecurity and 8 or 9 sessions of this is over, then only you have to go and complete the entire course thing. That is a standard practice. Not only
Okay.
attending, you have to complete that. Then you attend that particular sort of an exam to just know where you are. Then only automatically This is again an automation process. Automatically, a certificate will be generated based on those criterias, and you can grab that certificate from your profile.
Okay.
Guys, and do you have any other question?
I have a question, Mr. Menon.
Yeah.
So for people like us that have people for the live classes, when is the next class starting?
Okay,
And
the next,
do you have any class for the summer for younger people, younger adults?
yes, for the summer we are planning to set up a morning class because we can utilize the uh, holiday period for especially the young people. It will be more about the cloud and the software development life cycle. Maybe we are planning also trying to put some of the coding challenges, including Java or Python, that we are not decided yet. But coming to your first question, our DevOps job ready training, that is a 2 weeks long, sorry, 2 months long, Monday to Friday, 5 days in a
8
week,
weeks.
8 weeks, Monday to Friday, 5 days in a week, daily 2 hours, 2.5 hours like that is, and timing is 7:30 p.m. CST, is going to start, I think, what is the day? What was the date?
Fourth,
April,
4th April,
April 4th. And
which
and the
is a
same
Friday.
goes, yes, and same goes for our cybersecurity training. Those trainings are 80% of hands-on, and even if you are very freshers on the IT domain, and if you want to, set up or launch your career on cybersecurity or DevSecOps, this cutting edge things, I recommend you. If you are very new on the IT domain, don't go directly on cybersecurity or DevSecOps training. It will be little bit advanced. You should start with the our DevOps training, where you learn Linux, clouds, and other fundamental stuff. And based on that, you are going in your cybersecurity training, you are going to learn how to secure those infrastructure. Right now, those people have at least 1 or 2 years of industrial experience. They can directly join the cybersecurity training. They can cope up with that speed and the
The volume,
complexity of, yeah, complexity
complexity.
of that particular training, because it should not be, you join and you learn. There are so many things you need to do by your own hands, and that is our goal, because we believe until unless you make your hand dirty with the task, you cannot learn. We do have some few people like Nagozi and Selassie was there, Ernest is there. Those people are who have already joined our training, and hopefully they got benefited. Mm, and secondly, mm, but if you are very new or not at all a IT people, I will recommend you start with our DevOps training, because Mr. Debasis is we are very you know glad to have him in our team, that he has a lots of patience and expertise where he can make anyone from zero and to hero kind of stuff within 8 weeks. So he have lots of patience, and he try to break those things, complex thing, in small way, where within 1 or 2 weeks you will start working with your command prompt and Linux terminal. So that was the biggest achievement what we can share. So, and this DevOps class, especially the job ready training, after the training you will be ready for applying 2 or 3 job position, including cloud architect position, DevOps engineer, and some of the SRE engineer as well. So feel free to ask the question in the group, and thank you for joining for today. Any other question?
Mr. Menon, sorry, before you go, please, I do have two more questions. Sorry, because I have two young adults that I'm looking, I discussed this with you, to sign them up for the summer class. So just to ask, you talked about April starting for, people that want to refresh. But for the summer, when is it starting in particular? So that
So you're talking
we
about
can
job ready course or the
The
summer
summer,
course?
the summer course, yes.
Yeah, it
Because
is good.
school is session till almost the end of May. So that's why I'm asking now.
So, do you have any idea when this summer break will start?
Like the last week in May.
Last week of May, yeah. So we are planning to
Yes.
start in the middle of May, because it will be a
Oh,
long,
okay.
it will be a like a 1.5 or 2 months of things, because it will be the space will be the speed will be very low, because most of the people they
Okay.
are on the it's a new world for them. So we'll start as a the mainly two things we are going to try to teach, two or three things. One, cloud, one or two
Okay.
codings, and a software development lifecycle. Maybe that is a theoretical part, but they need to understand that how the IT industry works, right? And then the some of
Yes.
the security practice. It is not like they no need have to be a security engineer, but how to from what I believe, we unconsciously sharing our data at the very younger age. So they should be aware of which data they should share, where which data they should not. This generation people are very very smart, but same goes for our our other counterpart, the hackers. They are also very smart. So it is a good idea to set up some of the awareness for them, what to share, what not to share.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. My last question will be for Mr. Debasis. Based on your experience, what would you say on someone focusing on being a Linux engineer?
Uh, for a role in Linux, right?
Yes. And also, does Kalkey have like any special Linux class for people that want to go into Linux and Red Hat? Thank you.
So
For the
just for
Linux,
a for a module like Linux, we do not have a separate session to, but since it is as we have as you know, it will start with this coming April on 4th. So initial initially we will be spending 5 sessions, 5 or 6 or 7 sessions on cloud. After that, we will start Linux. So at that point of time, if somebody joins to just for the Linux part, that will be okay. Or maybe a combination of cloud and Linux, because Linux will have its application over or a virtual environment, okay, like cloud. So it is good to know the knowledge on cloud, because that is where your virtual servers will be placed and you will be using it as a Linux guy.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can also make a small question. Are we still going to do the Azure or still in the pipeline?
I think in this batch we are going to start the Azure. Ernest, I would ask you to join our ongoing. You can ask Mr. Devashish about our ongoing batches, which is going on this batch. I think, or maybe next batch for the Azure, because we are
Yeah,
actually.
I think we almost done with it.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
actually we have
actually
a
we done with it. We got the capstone project next.
so we are planning to set up a uh, master class for the Azure DevOps. We need to find out the availability. So, and based on that, we are going to, ask or request all of our old students who missed the Azure DevOps part, and they can join for maybe couple of days, maybe a few, maybe a week, and they can also brush up or, gear up for the Azure DevOps part, because that is the reason we, every now and then we change the course modules based on the market requirements. So Azure DevOps is a very new things we have added. I think this is the in the last batch only we have added. So, but we need to make it once it is the, everything is set it up, we are going to ask all of our previous students, like all the 43 batches students, we are going to ask to join a maybe 3-4 days long session, right? Okay, guys, any other question? If not, then thank
No
you.
question,
Yeah,
but I just want to say thank you, Kalkey. Thank you, Mr. Debasis, for this program. Thank you.
thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay then.
Thank you.
So have a great day. Bye.
Thank you kindly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.